there are diagramming techniques. There are diagramming techniques to identify the risks here. Like these diagrams, when you study the diagrams, obviously the flow diagrams and all those things, right? So they will obviously help you in identifying the risks there. Now, SWOT analysis also will help you to identify the risks. SWOT analysis is, you need to identify all the strengths, you need to identify the weaknesses, opportunities. All the opportunities are straight positive risks for you. And then you have threats also. Threats are all negative risks for you. So SWOT analysis, you sit, you analyze what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, what are your threats. So straight away these two can be grouped under that particular stuff there. Expert judgment is, though it is discussed as the last part of this particular thing, expert judgment also is very important for the success of this particular identifying risks actually. You need to follow, or else you need to invite the SME advice. Finally you are taking an SME advice before you conclude your risk register. Risk register need to be composed of all those things. Now the point here is that from where you can get the risk, expect the risk. You know, risk can come from financial markets. Financial market changes, so because of the market situations, the market is changing and then it can hit you. And then project is failing actually. The project failures obviously. At any phase project can fail, in the design phase or development phase, you know, any of the life cycle phase project can fail. That's also one area where we should expect risk. Legal liabilities, you might get into a legal liability, legal battle where you are liable to do something and you are not able to do. What is a legal liability? You know, as soon as you start a contract with a customer and you know, performing organization, they sign on the contract. As soon as that signing is over, you are having a legal bond over there. You know, each sides are legally bonded actually, and then they are obviously they have to execute their relationship very carefully, and that relationship is called, what is that? Privity. Privity is the relationship that binds both sides, and then seller has to provide the deliverables and buyer has to pay for it. Both sides are, you know, related actually there. So there is a legal liability on both sides. Or else you might have outside that bond also, you might have other legal liabilities also which you need to take care. There is a credit risk. You know, credit risk is basically you are delivering some things to the customer, or else, you know, if you are a subcontractor, you are delivering things to the main contractor or something. You are a seller basically at that point of time. You are delivering it, but you may not get the money back, or else you are, you know, obviously you are delivering the items, but you might not get your payment back. Credit risk is one big problem. And then I know a lot of my friends, they say that we have a lot of money I have to receive from so many vendors, they'll say, but at this point of time I don't have any amount, they'll say always. So there's a credit risk always which you need to take care. Accidents obviously, who is responsible for the accidents also is very important. We need to plan for it actually. And the natural causes and disasters, and deliberate attack from the adversary, events of uncertain, predictable root cause and all those things. So these are the areas that are important in different areas. See, this may be true in the mechanical engineering market, or else, you know, most of the situations, whether it's a mechanical, whether it's a civil or anything, generally, you know, you have the risks coming from, you know, scope actually. Scope. So previously we have considered initial risks, after that we have considered the integration risks, and then scope risks. Scope is the area where the main risk enters into the system after the integration. And after that we have the schedule risks, and then we have the cost risks and human resource risk and all those things. So each area, so someone has studied all these risks carefully and they have identified that maximum risks you are getting from scope, schedule, and then cost or resource. So scope, schedule and resource. In these three areas if you are careful, you are avoiding 80% of the risks. Or else if you will be managing 80% of your risks, you are managing properly if you take care of these three areas well. Right? If you handle scope management well and schedule management and resource management properly, you are almost managing 80 to above 80% of the risks are managed there itself. That's why it's very important. We are not trying to repeat the entire process, but the risk is coming from that point. That's the main thing that we wanted to convey. So all these risks are kept in a risk register. So it's a document containing the results of qualitative risk analysis and quantitative risk analysis. Not only just risks that you are identifying, you might identify some technical risks, yes, external risks, organizational risks, project management risks, etc. You have identified. After that, the analysis is going to start. Okay, so this contains the list of identified risks. You know, it might contain probable response also. But as soon as you are, list of potential responses. What this means is, while identifying the risk, if you know that there is a probable response that you can plan for it in the beginning itself, you record it. For that, you don't need to do further analysis. If you know that this is probable response for this particular risk, if you know it well while identifying itself, you better keep that one. That's the point here. Now, perform qualitative risk analysis. The risk analysis, now we're going to start with the risk analysis there. Okay. Now,